If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, March 4th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Cloudy day on the way. Could see a pop-up shower, but the high's going to be 50. Tonight and overnight rain, low 41, and then Thursday showers, high 44. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it's 32 cloudy in Chappaqua up in Westchester. It's 39 and cloudy in Point Pleasant over in New Jersey. And it's 35 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
White House says it had good reason to go to war with Iran. People from all over the tri-state stranded in the Middle East. Is congestion pricing really here for good? A bus driver in Brooklyn punches a rider. And there's more to the story of that mini miracle on the Hudson. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. U.S. and Israel's bombardment of Iran and Lebanon continued overnight with a strike on a hotel near Beirut and the building of the Assembly of Experts as the death toll in Iran, about 800. That's according to the Red Crescent. Tehran continues retaliatory attacks on Israel and U.S. targets in the Middle East for a fourth night with strikes reported on a consulate in Dubai. There are other ones in United Arab Emirates. The president, again, pushing the fact that we needed to go to war yesterday, launching Operation Epic Fury, he says, because he suspected Iran would attack U.S. forces first.
You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that.
The president says some of the European nations have been helpful, some have not. He singled out Spain, saying we have to cut off all trade with Spain. The president asked if Israel forced the U.S. hand in joining the strikes against Iran.
And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first, and I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready, and we were ready, and we've had a very, very powerful impact. I'll tell you what, I have never had more compliments on something I did. People felt it's something that had to be done. So if we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
And last night we heard from CENTCOM, the commander there, Admiral Brad Cooper. He says the operation in Iran is going ahead of schedule.
And my overall operational assessment is that we are ahead of our game plan.
Admiral Cooper says the U.S. has severely degraded Iran's air defenses, destroyed hundreds of ballistic missiles, launchers, and drones. He says what the U.S. unleashed in the first 24 hours doubled that of the shock and awe during the war all those years ago in Iraq.
Many of you may remember the shock and awe strikes of 2003.
I do.
The first 24 hours of this operation were nearly double the scale, and we continue with 24/7 strikes into Iran from seabed to space and cyberspace. We have severely degraded Iran's air defenses and destroyed hundreds of Iran's ballistic missiles, launchers, and drones.
And what the Admiral said last night, he says, not much left of the Iranian army, though we are seeing strikes today, but he says there's not much left.
We are also sinking the Iranian Navy, the entire Navy. Thus far, we've destroyed 17 Iranian ships, including the most operational Iranian submarine that now has a hole in its side.
Yeah, so the Pentagon yesterday identifying 4 of the U.S. 6 service members who were killed by an Iranian drone strike in Kuwait. 35-year-old Captain Cody Cork, who's from Winter Haven, Florida. Sergeant First Class Noah Titans, he's 42. He's from Bellevue, Nebraska. Sergeant First Class Nicole Armour, she's 39 years old, from White Bear Lake, Minnesota. And 20-year-old Sergeant Declan Cody, who's from West Des Moines, Iowa. They died in that attack in Kuwait on Sunday. The soldiers were all assigned to the Army Reserve's 103rd Sustainment Command, which is based in Des Moines, Iowa. Correspondent Danielle Harmadian reports that Middle East embassies being targeted big time by Iran, and so the U.S. warning people to get out of the way.
An extraordinary message by the U.S. State Department advising U.S. citizens across the Middle East to depart now. That includes 15 countries, among them some countries where the airspace is closed, meaning no commercial flights or charters available. Diplomats and their families who have been told to shelter in place. In some cases, the embassies have closed altogether. But for the wider public, the U.S. citizens trying to leave, for now, there is no U.S. government plan in place to assist them.
Well, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, says that's going to change.
We're also keeping an eye out on missions, diplomats, embassies, consulates, which are on high alert because of possible riots or protesters wanting to retaliate against the U.S. involvement in the war in Iran.
All right, so Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. is working hard to get Americans out of the Middle East, but, the airspace has been closed. Now they're going to slowly let planes go in and out.
We have about 1,500 Americans that are requesting assistance with departure. We have identified and continue to identify charter flights, military flight options, and expanded commercial flight options, meaning working with the airlines to send bigger airplanes with more seats.
Yeah, so the State Department's securing military planes, charter flights for Americans who want to get out of the Middle East.
There'll be a variety of methods: charter flights, military flights and transports, expanded commercial opportunities, and in some cases land routes that will allow them to go to neighboring countries who might have open airports at that point.
By the way, we're talking about thousands of people. The Secretary of State says his staff in process of contacting Americans, and they urge everyone to go to the State Department's special website to get more information on some of those charter flights. And coming up after 5:30, we're going to talk to some local families from the tri-state who are stuck in the Middle East and hear how they're feeling about trying to get back home. WABC News Time, 5:06. South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace says President Trump is complying with the War Powers Resolution of 1973. She says the president is following the law intended to curb the executive power to wage war without the consent of Congress. This goes back to the Vietnam War.
If ground troops get involved, I think that's a very different conversation. That's not where we are today. That's not what I heard in the briefing. And again, I won't go into details because it was classified. I feel very good and very confident about where we are, roughly just over 100 hours into the strikes and this conflict.
So Congress and Congress members got a briefing from the Secretary of State yesterday. So this was Mace talking after that.
President Trump is following the War Powers Resolution of 1973. He has not wavered from that.
But the Congresswoman says she does have concerns about how long this operation will take.
I hope that this will be short. I hope it doesn't go on more than a couple of weeks. And if it does beyond that, I think that's a different conversation that we need to have based on purpose and length of time.
Now, in a moment, we'll hear from the Democrats who are pushing this War Powers Resolution of 1973. They don't think they can get it passed because if they were somehow able to, even though Republicans own Congress and the Senate, the president would veto it. WABC News Time 5:09. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries criticizing President Trump's decision to launch those strikes against Iran.
On the campaign trail, Donald Trump and Republicans promised not to get the American people into endless, failed, foreign, forever war.
New York Democrat says he worries the president's plans for operation against Iran could be endless.
And yet Donald Trump has just gotten America into an endless war that he acknowledges and plans to be endless.
The congressman urging lawmakers to pass this war powers resolution this week. But again, as I was saying, it would have no teeth because even if they were able to get it passed, which seems very doubtful, the president could veto it, and then they would need 2/3 majority to override that veto, which seems like almost impossible. 5:10, Israel is working to keep residents safe there amid these retaliatory attacks that continued last night. Correspondent Matt Bradley reports from one of the nerve centers of the country's hospital ambulance service. It's deep below underground.
It looks a lot like an ordinary dispatch center you might see in the U.S., except in the U.S., this wouldn't be 100 feet underground like we are now. There wouldn't be heavy blast doors all throughout the building, and there probably wouldn't be ventilators to siphon out poison gas in the case of a chemical attack.
Now, the center's able to track incoming attacks and then dispatch help to areas without anybody ever calling the equivalent of 911 in Israel.
It basically allows for dispatching of emergency vehicles without anyone even picking up the phone. It's coordinated measuring how incoming projectiles are coming in and where they're going to land. So the effect and the rescue is immediate. It's unclear where this is all going, whether or not the Iranians still have a massive capacity to continue striking targets well beyond their borders. But for now, it's places like this one that are keeping Israeli citizens safe, and one of the reasons why the death toll here has been relatively low. Senior Israeli military officials saying that they are expanding their offensive against Hezbollah after that Iranian-backed militant group opened a new front in this conflict when it fired 3 projectiles over its border into northern Israel just yesterday.
And Americans in Israel stuck there may be forced to stay for the time being. The U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, warning Americans have very limited options to leave. And remember, he sent out that email before the attacks took place to workers telling them they had a very short window to get out of Israel. Now, Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport had been closed, but they did restart operations. And I can tell you from personally that El Al is going to start running flights again because I have a brother who lives in Haifa who stuck with me because he can't get back home. So, meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's son, he lives in Florida, and that has attracted a lot of global attention since the start of Operation Epic Fury. There's fears that someone might try and kidnap him. He lives in Hallandale. He is being protected, but you have these political science experts, terrorism experts worry that he may be a high-profile target.
Reports are in international press sources, not in U.S. media, so it may be more speculation from the world community, but nonetheless, local officials absolutely should be on high alert. Now,
Yair, his name is... what is his first name? Oh, Yair Netanyahu. I have that right. He apparently is being protected by Israel's security agency as he lives in Florida. It's called Shin Bet.
Everyone just needs to be on high alert, but I wouldn't expect the Iranian Guard to be coming into Hallandale Beach to kidnap Netanyahu's son anytime soon.
Yeah, but they're not taking any chances.
But it's not out of the ordinary that you would have a high-profile person here, and we're already a high-risk area in South Florida with our proximity to Cuba.
Okay, so this is what we know so far. This is Operation Epic Fury. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This is the 5th day. And there have been explosions in Iran. There have been retaliatory attacks today. And you may have seen this yesterday. The son of the Iranian Ayatollah is the front runner to replace him as the supreme leader. This is according to multiple media reports. Mojtaba Khamenei, he's 56 years old, would take control of Iran by the country's assembly of experts. This is this powerful body of clerics that makes the decision. And there was a vote yesterday, and apparently he won. Now, nobody in Iran is saying this because that instantly makes him a target. But all kinds of sources, including those here in the United States and in Israel, say he was chosen yesterday as the new leader of Iran. But Iranian officials, no surprise, they are not confirming that. WABC News Time, 5:14. Let's bring it back home. Voters hit the polls yesterday, first primaries of the midterm elections. elections held in Texas, North Carolina, Arkansas. On the Democratic side, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and Texas State Representative James Tallarico were facing off in this heated race to become the nominee for Senate in the Lone Star State, and Tallarico outlasted Jasmine Crockett last night. Meanwhile, the GOP Senate primary race in Texas, that's headed for a runoff, with Senator John Cornyn and State Attorney General Ken Paxton having advanced without either picking up more than 50% of the vote. In a moment, we're going to tell you about a decorated NYPD cop who's in a heap of trouble. That coming up in just a moment. But for 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Justin Ellick, he's got the morning off. He's sunning himself in Puerto Rico. Lucky guy. So we have WABC's Rhonda Moss.
Let's start in the NFL. The Cardinals have informed quarterback Kyler Murray they will release him next week unless they can swing a trade. The Colts slapped the transition tag on soon-to-be free agent quarterback Daniel Jones. The Cavs, without the injured Donovan Mitchell, knocked off the Pistons 113-109. The Spurs destroyed the Sixers 131-91. Most of the starters barely played 20 minutes. Head coach Mitch Johnson talks about the win.
Our defensive pressure and activity was at a really good level, and then we passed the ball and played with each other and made each other better.
Thunder beat the Bulls 116-108. Braves outfielder Jurickson Profar suspended 162 games after testing positive for a performance-enhancing drug for the second time in the past year. In a World Baseball Classic tune-up, Team USA crushed the Giants 15-1. The U.S. begins its quest for the championship Friday against Brazil. That's sports. I'm Rhonda Moss.
Yeah, and the Knicks, they rolled past the Raptors 111-95 north of the border. Jalen Brunson, 26 points to go along with a team-high 10 assists. It was a double-double. New York has now won 3 straight. They'll host Oklahoma City tonight at the Garden. The Nets, they were torched by the Heat, 124-98 in Miami. Brooklyn now on a 9-game losing streak. They'll visit the Heat for a rematch tomorrow. The Devils, they pulverized the Panthers 5-1 at the Rock last night. Dougie Hamilton leading the way with a goal and an assist. Jacob Markstrom, he stopped 20 of 21 shots. The Devils host the Maple Leafs tonight. And the Yankees blew out Panama 11-1 in 8 innings from Tampa spring training baseball. The Mets managed to take down Nicaragua 6-3 in Port St. Lucie. WABC News Time 5:19. A decorated NYPD cop under arrest accused of raping a woman last fall.
Officer Daheem Morris, who's been recognized 6 times by the department for excellent and meritorious duty, was charged Tuesday for the incident that happened last September. Prosecutors say the 27-year-old officer took a 20-year-old friend to a party in Canarsie, then forced himself on her after everyone else had gotten out of their car. The department's Internal Affairs Bureau also investigated. Morris is suspended without pay. He's due back in court May 8th. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
Let's go down to Washington. The head of Homeland Security has new details on that gunman who shot and killed 3 at an Austin, Texas bar over the weekend. We were wondering if it was terror-related because he was seen in a picture before the shooting wearing a T-shirt that said Allah. Well, Kristi Noem was before Congress for a different reason, but they did ask her about this. Senator Lindsey Graham said, was this attack in Austin, Texas, connected to terror?
When you went to his house, you found a what kind of flag?
Iranian flag.
Iranian flag.
Yeah, so the Austin gunman came into the country on a tourist visa from Senegal, but failed to return home. He then married a U.S. citizen, was a naturalized naturalized despite a string of arrests here in New York. The Secretary, Kristi Noem, at this Capitol hearing says the Iranian flag was found in the gunman's home, which alarmed just about everybody.
Wonder how many people are like that here, waiting to pounce.
Now, she didn't officially go in that direction, but all eyes are, she says, all points to the fact that this may be terror connected. 5:21, the self-driving taxi company Waymo under the microscope after video shows one of their cars blocking an ambulance that was responding to that mass shooting in Austin, Texas over the weekend. experts say this is just the latest incident in what is a troubling trend with these self-driving cars.
We've had, I think, the last count I saw, 24 instances of them blowing past school buses with stop sign extended.
Transportation attorney Trey Gober there says it's just a matter of time before someone gets killed by one of these self-driving cars. The head of the Austin Travis County EMS says they're addressing the issue with both Waymo and other self-driving car companies.
We've had incidences of them nearly hitting police officers that had vehicles pulled over to the side of the road. If an individual drove past school buses 24 times in a year period, we would take their license.
Yeah, I have a good friend who is with the San Francisco Fire Department, where there are Waymos in San Francisco, and he's been given a code if these cars get in the way when he's responding to an emergency, which he says has happened, and he can disarm the car so he can move it as opposed to it being, done back automated under. So he says they do have that, but of course he says there's been no moments where these Waymo cars have gotten in the way as he's responding to a call, which is a huge deal. Back to Kristi Noem, who was testifying before Congress yesterday, facing the Senate Judiciary Committee as the DHS remains unfunded, with Democrats demanding changes to ICE immigration enforcement and operations.
The latest Democrat-led shutdown of DHS is reckless, it's unnecessary, and it undermines the American national security, and it harms the men and women who work at DHS and their families.
This is also the first time Noem has been questioned by lawmakers following the ICE-involved fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. As the hearing began, the committee chair, Republican Chuck Grassley, asked members in the audience to adhere to decorum and to remain respectful. That didn't last for long, by the way. The Homeland Secretary made some opening statements.
A majority of the aliens that were arrested by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement have a criminal record and have been charged with or convicted of secondary crimes in addition to their initial crime of being in the United States illegally.
Now, as she went on, though, she was interrupted by protesters who had made it into that hearing.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You're not saying abolish ICE. You're not saying abolish ICE. You're not saying abolish ICE.
You may proceed. Yeah, that happened a number of times. Well, we're talking about what happened in Minnesota. A Minnesota prosecutor looking into tactics used by federal agents during the immigration enforcement operations that took place there. Mitch McCann reports the project's being launched by a local county attorney.
Mary Moriarty revealed her office is investigating up to 17 cases relating to the use of force by officers during a federal immigration crackdown in the state of Minnesota, including one where Border Patrol official Greg Vivino was accused of throwing a smoke canister toward protesters.
Now, federal investigators pushing back on this investigation.
The Department of Homeland Security, which oversees immigration enforcement, says what states are trying to do is unlawful and that states cannot prosecute federal officers. It said in a statement that federal officials acting in the course of their duties are immune from liability under state law.
Minnesota residents have been encouraged to turn over evidence via form to document their treatment from immigration officers, and those have apparently been pouring in. 5:25, let's go to Arizona, where Today Show host Savannah Guthrie has now returned to her missing mother's Arizona home. Correspondent Liz Kreutz reports that she was spotted yesterday along with her sister and her brother-in-law visiting these growing messages outside the 84-year-old's home.
Laying yellow flowers and a card with this handwritten message. Though we are surrounded by so much darkness and uncertainty, our love burns bright. We love you, Mommy. We miss you so much.
Guthrie reported missing February 1st, believed to have been abducted from her home. Thousands of tips have been received. $1 million reward being offered by the Guthrie family. The Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos, says he remains optimistic still that Nancy Guthrie will be found.
We have information on this case that we think is going to hopefully lead us to solving this case. But it takes time.
Yeah, but he did say yesterday that he believes this case will be solved soon. He used the word soon.
I think the investigators are definitely closer. We got a lot of intel, a lot of leads. But now it's time to just go to work.
And the sheriff says they're still trying to track the purchase of that backpack being carried by that masked man that was captured on the doorbell camera video from Nancy Guthrie's house back on February 1.
We've now learned that maybe it wasn't purchased out of Walmart. That backpack is new, is exclusive to Walmart. But who's to say I didn't buy it and put it on eBay?
Yeah, it was interesting to see again, though, that he used the word soon, that he thought this case would be solved soon. 5:26, losing an hour of sleep Saturday night will be hard on everybody, but apparently it's especially tough for kids.
Kids sometimes don't understand why we spring forward for daylight saving time, nor the importance of sleep on developing brains. Kaiser Permanente pediatrician Dr. Lisa Denike suggests parents help kids adjust by sticking to a bedtime routine.
Avoiding screen time an hour or two before bedtime can be really helpful too, because the light that comes out of the screens really mimics the blue light that tells our brain that it's daytime, and so our melatonin production goes down, and melatonin is our sleep hormone that our brain makes.
She also suggests starting to adjust bedtimes now, shifting just 10 to 15 minutes every few nights to help kids prepare for Saturday. I'm Monica Nelson.
Not a chance that's going to happen.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, March 4th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Cloudy day on the way. Could see a pop-up shower, the high 50. Tonight and overnight rain, low 41. And then Thursday showers, high 44. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 32 cloudy in Chappaqua up in Westchester. 39 and cloudy in Point Pleasant over in New Jersey. And it's 35 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540. U.S. and Israel's bombardment of Iran and Lebanon continued overnight with a strike on a hotel near Beirut. Tehran continues retaliatory attacks on Israel and U.S. targets in the Middle East. And how's it all playing out back home here in New York? Well, we've been seeing extra security at key places across the city. That'll continue as this war continues. Mayor Mamdani trying to reassure New Yorkers that they will remain safe.
And our message also to Iranian Americans here in New York City is that you are a part of the fabric of this city. You are our small business owners. You are our community leaders, our workers, our artists. You will be safe in this city.
There's an increase in police presence, houses of worship, other sensitive locations. In New Jersey, they've increased security at sensitive sites across the Garden State. Lakewood Township Committeeman Meyer Lichtenstein says police are on high alert. They're using drones and extra patrols. That has a very large Jewish community, Lakewood.
It casts a shadow of concern. A lot of people on a day like Purim holiday will be going around out and about in the streets, obviously with our antennas up.
Yes, state police say no known credible threats, but federal, state, local law enforcement want to ensure the safety of places of worship.
Heightened awareness, and we're asking the public to do the same.
Yes, so just like here in New York, no matter where you are across the tri-state, police urging anybody that sees suspicious activity to give them a holler. A couple from Teaneck, New Jersey, among those trying to get home after the war with Iran, has caused about 19,000 flight cancellations in and out of the Middle East since it began. Joshua Lepowski and his wife Stephanie describing their harrowing experience seeking shelter in an Israeli bomb shelter as they were trying to get home. They were planning to leave before the war began, but I guess Joshua wanted to run in the Tel Aviv Marathon, and I guess that was a mistake because after the marathon is when the war began.
While he was running the marathon, I saw the alert from the embassy that if people wanted to get out, they should get out now. But he was in the middle of the marathon, so that wasn't so realistic.
Yes, so they did not get out, so they've spent just like so many other Israelis, lots of time in the bomb shelter as they wait to hear when they might be able to get back home.
Secretary Rubio was scheduled to come here on Monday
to have discussions with Prime Minister Netanyahu. So we assumed, and we assumed wrong, that that would give us a little bit of a cushion.
Yeah, so you have some who are driving to Egypt, hoping to fly out of there, but that doesn't seem to be such a great option either.
Throughout most of the day on Saturday, we were in and out of the bomb shelter. Saturday night, we got an email from El Al telling us that we wouldn't be flying on Saturday night, which we knew because the airspace was closed.
Yeah, so the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, urging stranded Americans anywhere in the Middle East to call and get in touch with the State Department because they are going to start putting some charter flights, get some of the airlines to send bigger jets through the Mideast to get some of these people home over the next couple days.
My cousin actually lives about a mile from where we're staying, and he just sent me a video from his shelter in his apartment building, and somebody was getting married there.
Yeah, life does go on. 5:44, an investigation underway after two planes touched near the gates at Newark yesterday.
The FAA says Singapore Air Flight 21 was pulling back from its gate at EWR when its right wing clipped the tail of a Spirit Airlines flight scheduled to fly to Orlando. No one was hurt. Everyone deplaned normally. The Spirit Airjet was taken out of service and passengers were rerouted. The Singapore airplane took off later. Traffic at the gate area is not managed by air traffic control. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
Looks like that $9 toll to motor into Midtown may be here to stay, at least for a while longer. A federal judge issuing a ruling yesterday that blocks the White House efforts to kill congestion pricing here in the city. U.S. District Judge Louis Lehman, he's a Trump appointee, said the First in the Nation program is legal. And, of course, that's a big win for the MTA. Governor Hochul immediately issued a statement saying that the president's attempts to trample, she said, on self-governance of his home state failed. The congestion pricing program charges drivers $9 for driving below 60th Street during peak hours. The governor says it works and says the cameras are staying on. Now, as somebody who drives through congestion pricing, my commute through Midtown in the middle of the day is as long as it was before congestion pricing began. They promised us it would be shorter. At least that's been my experience anyway. All right, 5:45. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Justin Ellick's got the morning off, so we have WABC's Rhonda Moss.
Let's start in the NFL. The Cardinals have informed quarterback Kyler Murray they will release him next week unless they can swing a trade. The Colts slapped the transition tag on soon-to-be free agent quarterback Daniel Jones. The Cavs, without the injured Donovan Mitchell, knocked off the Pistons 113-109. The Spurs destroyed the Sixers 131-91. Most of the starters barely played 20 minutes. Head coach Mitch Johnson talks about the win.
Our defensive pressure and activity was at a really good level, and then we passed the ball and played with each other and made each other better.
Thunder beat the Bulls 116-108. Braves outfielder Jurickson Profar suspended 162 games after testing positive for a performance-enhancing drug for the second time in the past year. In a World Baseball Classic tune-up, Team USA crushed the Giants 15-1. The U.S. begins its quest for the championship Friday against Brazil. That's sports. I'm Rhonda Moss.
Man, the Knicks, they rolled past the Raptors 111-95 north of the border. Jalen Brunson led New York 26 points. He had 10 assists for a double-double. New York has now won 3 straight. They'll host the Thunder tonight at the Garden. The Nets, well, they were just torched by the Heat. 124-98 in Miami. Brooklyn now on a 9-game losing streak. They'll visit the Heat for a rematch tomorrow. The Devils, better for them. They pulverized the Panthers 5-1 at the Rock last night. Dougie Hamilton led the way with a goal and an assist. Jacob Markstrom's, he stopped 20 of 21 shots. Devils host the Maple Leafs tonight. And spring training baseball, Yankees blew out Panama 11-1 in 8 innings from Tampa. Mets managed to take down Nicaragua 6-3 in Port St. Lucie. And that's sports. WABC News Time 5:49. Let's head over over to Brooklyn, where this might be a case of police charging the wrong guy with the crime. An MTA bus driver facing charges after police say he attacked a teenager in Midwood. This happened Monday near the intersection of Bay Parkway and East 2nd Street. So that teenager, a 16-year-old, was holding on to the back of the bus as he rode his bicycle. So the bus driver pulled over to say, hey, dude, you could really get hurt or maybe be killed doing that. Well, there was a fight that ensued, a verbal one, and that's when the bus driver apparently hauled off on this 16-year-old and punched him in the face multiple times. There were a lot of eyewitnesses.
I looked through the window, I saw the lights, I saw it was an empty bus. I figured, okay, I thought it was the bus had an accident or something. I got off the bus. I didn't think of any actual criminal thing happening.
Now, that 16-year-old taken to the hospital, expected to be okay. He was not identified because of his age. The bus driver, though, is facing a number of charges, including assault. 550. NYPD crime stats show subway crime is up this winter. Data shows subway crime's nearly up 20% this February compared to last, which is strange because the rest of crime was down mostly because it was so cold outside. Nobody wanted to go out and commit crimes. Here were New Yorkers who some were surprised. They say that things have felt like they're getting a little safer. Others disagree with that.
Physical crime, myself, I haven't seen it. I'll hear people arguing or something on the train, but to see physical crime, I haven't seen it.
Just gotta be careful of your surroundings and look at your surroundings, and people be on the cell phones too many times, and they'll take the cell phone.
Yeah, so of 192 crimes reported in the subways last month, 27% were felony assaults.
Me personally, I haven't witnessed any, trouble in the subway, but I do hear about it a lot on social media and the news.
Yeah, I think crime is up because people are more scared, there's more fear, there's more hatred, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, there's still that fear factor no matter what. Meantime, the NYPD says it made strides with a drop in murders and homicides, leading to an at least 8% decrease in overall crime compared to this time last year. New York City launching its historic free childcare program for 2-year-olds as the start of Mayor Mamdani's plan to bring free childcare for all.
This commitment to universal childcare has the potential to supercharge our economy. We will support and grow our workforce, we will grow our tax revenue, and we will grow as a city.
The free 2K program will start this fall with about 2,000 seats. Washington Heights, Inwood, Fordham, Kingsbridge, and a handful of East Brooklyn and Queens neighborhoods.
It will place at least $20,000 per child back in the pockets of parents across our city and will make it possible for countless parents to return to the careers they love.
Governor Hochul says the state shipped in about $73 million for the first 2,000 2K seats.
We're shaping a better New York that our kids are going to inherit. Their children will not have to struggle like my own children are today. That era is over. Childcare,
of course, incredibly expensive. Mayor Mamdani says this should save New York families about $20,000 a year. 5:53, let's go up to the Hudson Valley where we're getting new details about that small plane that crashed into the Hudson Monday night near Newburgh. The occupants identified now, 31-year-old Liam D'Arcy. He's a certified flight instructor. He was with a 17-year-old student at the time. They were flying from Long Island to Stewart Airport when they realized they weren't going to make it to Stewart Airport, and they knew they wouldn't make it anywhere they could potentially safely land, so they decided to land in the Hudson. It all worked out for them. They're okay, but we're hearing some of the back and forth between air traffic control and the pilot who took over from the student. And he's so calm when he's talking about the fact that he's going to land on, hopefully he says, ice in the Hudson, which he was able to do.
Yeah, we're going to go into the Hudson. 6 Echo, say that again, please. We're going into the Hudson River. I don't think we're going to make the airport.
Right? I mean, would you be that calm? I'd be screaming. Listen how calm this guy is.
Yeah, we're going to go into the Hudson.
Yeah,
6 Echo, say that again, please. We're going into the Hudson River. I don't think we're going to make the airport.
I mean, it sounds like he's like, I'm going to stop for a second to have a bagel. He's very calm, but I guess that's who you want at the controls. So they did land in the Hudson and on some ice. So they were able to then go and swim to shore, and they're A-OK. State police, of course, raced to the scene to help them once they got to shore.
If they would have landed in a water section of the river, it would have been extremely challenging for them to exit the aircraft, as well as emergency responders to reach them in a timely manner.
You can imagine how cold the water was. They swam about 50 feet through frigid water to reach the shoreline. Then they sought shelter inside a nearby building while they awaited emergency responders, who then took them to the hospital to be checked out, and they're okay.
It's not only the cold from the extreme cold temperatures of the Hudson River, but the current as well. The fact that they made it to the shoreline is nothing short of a miracle, in my opinion.
It really is. The FAA investigating. It's not clear why the plane came down. And we'll finish this story in Woodland Park, New Jersey. A disturbing symbol of hate, raising concern in what is really typically quiet Woodland Park neighborhood. Residents on Woodrow Avenue say one home has become the focus of growing alarm after a swastika was displayed on the front door of this property. Now, neighbors say this guy's always been a little nutty. Imagine being next door to this guy, and he's got all kinds of weird stuff outside of his house. But the latest thing is he proudly has a swastika on his front door. And borough officials say there's not a whole lot they can do about it. Here are some neighbors saying, it's all kind of disturbing.
I think it's also just a tough look for the neighborhood in general. I feel bad for the people that live around here.
When I first saw it, obviously I was scared as much as I feel like everyone in this neighborhood was. Then they started putting up weird pictures and everything with people's faces on them, discolored and dysmorphed and everything. So I just kind of got weirded out after a while.
Yeah, I bet you are. The Woodland Park Police Department's responded to repeated complaints about this neighbor, including neighbors submitting photos to show the extent of the weird messages outside, not just the swastika. But there's not really probably a whole lot of legal action they can take, at least nothing they can find just yet.
It brings a lot of unnecessary attention around here with the pictures and the windows and the garage door and the door and those signs of hate. I don't think anybody mentally well would put those signs up, so I hope they get the help they need.
No, that sounds like it, but imagine the value of your home being on this block. I can understand just for that reason alone you'd want this guy to go away. All right, coming up on 5:57, traffic, transit on the 7th. Here's Joe Nolan.
You mentioned selling your house. You're trying to sell your house and you got that 2 doors down.
Right. Even just on the same block, it's not going to help you, right? I mean, forget being next door, right?
Man, that's rough. There's really, I guess, nothing they can do, right?
Right. I mean, it's your own property. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.